In my new book, The Business of Friendship, Making the Most of Our Relationships, where we spend most of our time, I teach the 3 requirements for all healthy teams. It's the same 3 requirements that build any healthy relationship between any 2 people. And when we multiply that, it's what becomes our culture. Those 3 requirements are consistency, which is what leaves us feeling like we can rely on and trust each other. We know what the normal is. We have consistent interaction. It's positivity, which is what leaves us feeling good. It leaves us feeling appreciated and celebrated. It's the good stuff that we always want to feel. And vulnerability. This is what leaves us feeling seen, feeling known, feeling like you value my contribution. And so every relationship needs all 3 of these things. But then we start working remote and suddenly we're just like, wait, how do we do this? And it's the exact same 3 requirements, whether the relationship is over the telephone, long distance, in the same city, remote, in the same office. It doesn't matter. The same 3 things hold true. Those are the same things that drive every relationship. But when we go remote, it will look different. We will have to do it differently. And from what I've been hearing, all of us have figured out the consistency piece, more or less. We have found the technology. We have figured out how to take everything virtual and to keep up communication and productivity and efficiency. We figured out our system and our schedule and our structure. Productivity and efficiency are doing well. We have our new norm. But what about positivity and vulnerability? We're not necessarily getting off all those virtual meetings feeling more seen, more known, and we're not necessarily ending our day feeling better, feeling more positive emotions. And these are the 2 things that I think have been lagging a little bit as we've moved remote, and the areas where we might want to focus more attention as the leaders, as the managers, as those of us who can say, let's help facilitate and model and give permission for and carve out time for the things that we know will help bond our team together. So 3 quick tips that might be helpful to managers. You have the ability to prioritize the agenda, to plan that schedule. So make sure you're adding in sharing time. Not as something that you're doing while you're waiting for everybody to get on, but something that is as important as giving all these updates on products and services. This is our agenda, is to make sure we stay connected. And if you order the book, The Business of Friendship, there is I've got a whole bunch of resources for managers, first of all, and one of them is the resource of 35 sharing questions that you can use with any team. And so these are great options for you to just say, let's start today's meeting with answering this question. And you might even on occasion break people into breakout groups or into partners, just so that they can answer that question, but do it with like a smaller group in a different dynamic and get to know each other in a deeper way that way. But sometimes it's really powerful to go around the whole group and take that time. We all heard the same story. And the most important thing we can do is just say thank you for sharing after each person shares. Like, we see you. Thank you for sharing. All right, next person. It doesn't have to be a huge, long, like we have to respond to every single person. Let's just go around the circle and each have the opportunity to be seen a little bit. So important, because your employees are missing that spontaneity and the proximity that they used to have. So now when you're gathering them up, that might be the only time they're seeing each other. So you have to help make those little interactions happen. Second tip, facilitate a conversation about like a brainstorming session with your team. Think about a feeling that you want everybody to feel. Pride, empathy, appreciation. There's so many, inspiration, hope. And so take a feeling word that you want people to feel more of and start a session by saying, let's brainstorm as a team. What are all the different things, big and small, that any one of us or myself or our company could do to help us feel more of this? What could we do if we wanted to bring more inspiration to our team? What would leave you feeling inspired? What if we wanted to feel more gratitude and appreciation? What are all the ideas that our team can come up with? And let's just brainstorm. There's no bad ideas. If you think it might leave you feeling more of this, let's put it on the board. Let's get all the ideas. It doesn't mean you have to do all of them, but it gives you don't have to solve the problem. Let your team tell you what will leave them feeling more energized, more hopeful, more excited. And then you've got ideas right there at your disposal. And then when you come through on one, you have just built trust with your team because they know that they were heard by you, and you become the hero for actually taking their suggestions and trying to come through for those. So that would be an amazing thing. And not just the power of actually having that brainstorm. You could maybe come up with some things on your own, but the power is letting them help name that and having them hear you say that this matters to you. That's really important. It's the anticipation of something, and it's you giving permission and modeling and saying, I want you to feel this thing. I want you to feel proud. So let's talk about that. And that way, when the action does come through, they make the connection that this is something you want for them, and they can actually see and hopefully feel that even more so. So be the one who helps initiate that conversation. There's so much payoff from it. And the third tip that I'll just say is it's worth checking in with every single person on your team and asking the question, how connected do you feel right now to our team, to our organization, to me? How are you doing now that you're not in the office? How are your social needs being met? You're asking all kinds of other questions, but check in on the socialization. Humans need a high amount of socialization, and that does not always get met by just meeting after meeting after meeting after meeting. And maybe what you'll hear is that it's way too much talking, and what people need a little bit more alone time, a little more quiet time, a little more downtime so they can appreciate that. But for some, maybe there's so much noise, but they actually need a deeper conversation. They actually want some more, they're not feeling connected, they're just feeling busy. But for some, maybe it's that they really do feel isolated, and you can maybe help suggest ideas or help figure out a few people and connect them or help brainstorm this. But you won't know unless you ask. And asking again is so powerful because it says to them, this person cares that I'm connected and socially met. They care about that. That means it matters. That means it's okay here. That means that I have permission to have that be a need. It's really empowering for them to hear that it matters to you. And so ask them, it's just a simple question. How are you feeling socially? How are you feeling connected? What can we do better for you to help you feel more a part of this and make sure your social needs are met even though you're working far apart from us? And then just be quiet and listen. You don't have to solve it there. You just say, thank you so much for sharing. I'm taking this in from everybody and hoping, I really want to make sure we get these needs met. I thank you so much for what you're doing. Your job is so hard. And I have an entire chapter in the Business of Friendship on why leaders need friends too, because the last thing we want is you feeling lonely. Loneliness does not look good on any of us. We don't become more empathetic, more loving, more inspired when we're lonely. And if I want anybody acting out from their healthiest, happiest, strongest place, it's our leaders. And so take care of your needs too. We want that for you. And so I know when we're giving suggestions and say, do this and do that, you need more of this and more of that, it's a lot. But I just end with a reminder that if you want a happy and healthy team, there's not much more you could do for them than to help them feel like they belong, to help them like each other, to like you, to want to be here, to want to show up for each other, to not want to let everyone down, to end their time together practicing the 3 requirements of relationship where they feel like they can trust each other, where they feel seen, and where it feels good. And if your people at the end of a day, at the end of a meeting, at the end of an interaction feel that, they're going to want to come back for more. So many blessings on you as you lead and manage through really tough times. We're pioneering a new way to do work, and it matters, and what you're doing is paying off. Thank you.